Welcome, everyone. It is so nice to have you joining me in the session. Now, one of the big things that I've had with a number of my clients is they want to grow their business, they want to grow their life, they want to do more in life, in fact. And ultimately, their solution is working longer hours. I've had clients pushing in 20 to 22 hours, even some going straight through the actual night to try and get as much done as possible. But the truth of it is, at the end, they're actually exhausted. And when we do reflections, they haven't actually achieved more. What they've actually achieved is a higher level of burnout and less time on their personal front. So the big question that came through to me is, Stuart, how do I grow? But grow in a way that I don't burn out. Grow in a way where I don't have to put in more hours into my business. Well, that is exactly what we're going to be discussing today. And it actually falls with one word. That word, leverage. I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you've tried it. But I know that many people are afraid to use it. Now let's talk about leverage, because one thing that really gets to a number of CEOs when I start talking about leverage, the first thing they say is, but I need to be in control. My business cannot operate without me. I need to make sure that I'm at the helm every single day. Now, if you are one of those individuals, well, you're probably nodding your head at me and thinking, well, I might as well just stop right here and go away because this is not going to help me. I need to be in control. Well, I'm actually going to challenge you to stick around through to the end, because I'm going to share 3 tips with you that is actually, well, it'll work for you. And you will be able to start implementing it straight after this particular session. And I think the biggest part of it, it's going to give you back more time. You see, here's the conundrum that I have with so many CEOs that I've dealt with. I say to them, well, we need to leverage your business. We need to hand off some of those tasks to staff members or into some form of system or tool. And many of them come back to me and say, I cannot do that. And then I say this question. When you started your business as a CEO, didn't you want more freedom and time? And the answer is almost yes every single time. I wanted the freedom. That's why I ran my own business. I wanted more time. That's why I'm the boss. I'm the CEO. But when I ask them, are you actually having the freedom and are you having the time? The simple answer that comes back is, well, no. And if you are one of those that actually answered no to that question, I open this channel to you. You're more than welcome. Jump to my website, stuarthyslop.com. Top right-hand corner, you'll see there's a little button. It says book a free clarity call. It is not a sales pitching call. It is a no obligation. It's here. It's there for me to help you. And I've had a number of CEOs reach out, and just in 30 minutes, they've actually gone, I just needed somebody to tell me that. And that's exactly what that's all about. That is called leverage. Leverage a system, a tool, a coach to help you to identify how you can actually work and going forward to grow your business. Now, leveraging doesn't only work in your professional space, it also works in your personal space, because at times, especially when it comes towards the end of the days and you have kids and responsibilities, suddenly I need to get the groceries. I need to pick up these kids from school. I need to drop them off somewhere. I need to pick something up for the party this weekend. I need to do X for the house. I need to phone this particular contractor to do that. And the list becomes more and more and more. And we think that we can only leverage in our professional space. Well, you can leverage in your personal space. And that's what we're going to be covering. What I will share with you, these very simple tips, is not only for the professional space, but it's for both personal and professional. And when you start to almost, and I say accept it, and I'm not pushing it on you, but if you accept it and actually attempt it and try it, commit to it, you will actually see that little phrase, freedom, that little word, time, you're going to start seeing that you're going to have more of it. And on top of it, growth. Growth is what you ultimately want. So if you are really geared to growing in your business, we need to look at leverage. We need to look at how do we leverage our time? How do we leverage our business? How do we leverage our personal time and space in order for us to grow? And that is what I want to share with you in this particular session. I've got 3 tips for you, and they are very simple. These are tips that you can do any day. And I say that anytime, any day. You just need to be aware of it. And that's what I want to share. I want to share the awareness so that you know how and you can implement it. So let's have a look at that first tip. The first tip today, and it's one where when we are a business owner, a professional, or we're actually the family person and our personal responsibilities, there's lots of activities. Our life becomes a to-do list, or in many cases, it becomes a must-to-do list, which gets longer and longer. I must do this and I must do that. So this is the tip that I want to share with you. Write them all down. It could be 10, 20, maybe it's even 100 different activities. Now remember, an activity is something that you're going to do, not a dream or a goal. These are activities that I must do. That's what you feel like inside. I want you to write them all down. And then I want you to just give them a little bit of a rating. Is it something that is a priority, or is it something that's actually not a priority? Now, how do we identify that? Well, a priority is something that helps you to move forward towards growth, whether it's in your professional or personal space. But you need to be honest with yourself. You cannot say everything's a priority, because you're going to find there's a number of items on that list that they feel like they must do, but the actual activity does not get you closer to achieving that growth goal. So we go through that particular list, identify the priorities and identify the non-priorities. And ultimately, the non-priorities, put them on a separate list. Separate your list. Don't have everything on one page. Put them on 2 lists. So when you pick up that priority list, this is now what we commonly call a success list. This is a list of items that if you complete them, it'll actually get you closer. But here's the leverage that comes into it. You've leveraged your time to only focus on what is most important, the priorities that's going to get you closer to the goal. The other items, remember, we haven't thrown them away. We've just put them onto a second list. And ultimately, we focus on that first priority list. Now, in doing this, I've done this personally. I've done it with many clients. And they actually, as soon as you've completed this activity, the most amazing feeling happens. There's like a load on your shoulders and it gets lifted. It's amazing. You haven't done anything. You haven't completed any of those tasks. But all you've done is you've separated into your high priorities and your, let's call them low value activities. Once you've got those 2 lists, you're actually going to start to see clearer. And ultimately, the high priorities, you just focus on them. And you'll find that suddenly you're starting to tackle. Now, here's the most amazing part. And this, I didn't believe it when I was first told this. But when I did it myself, I separated the list. I only focused on those priority items. And once I'd completed those priority items, yes, there's always 1 or 2 that gets added as time goes forward. But when I looked at that secondary list, nearly 50% of them I could actually cross off because they were actually part of a high-level priority, or it was something that I'd added that, well, I felt it was important, but it actually didn't need to be done. Somebody else could have done it. And suddenly my life became lighter and lighter in those priorities going forward. So the first tip that I want to share with you is eliminate those low value activities. Put them onto a second list. Focus on those high priorities. Just that activity on its own, you're going to feel this lift off your shoulders. Ultimately, you haven't delegated to anybody. You haven't deleted anything. All you've done is just put the two into priorities. And that's called leverage, by the way. So that's the first tip that I wanted to share with you. And it is one of the most impactful tips that you can do in your business. So go ahead and try that one. If you find that it's becoming a little bit difficult, well, write the list out. Make contact with me. Jump onto the website, stuarthyslop.com. Click on that particular button, which is Book a Clarity Call, and let's discuss it. I will ask you the questions that will help you to get deeper clarity so that you can say, okay, I can see that that's actually should be on this list, and to help you to create those lists. That's what I want for you. I want you to be lighter for freedom and have more time. Here's the first tip. The second tip, and this is a tip that really we're going to find in our life, we do the same activities over and over again. We do it at the same time every day. We do it at the same day every week, and it just becomes repetitive. But more importantly, yes, it's become a habit. Now, I'm not talking about going to gym 3 times a week at the exact same time and walking in and having that habitual going to a certain machine and doing that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these small repetitive tasks. One of the biggest repetitive tasks that happens is, well, checking our emails. And now you might think, but I have to check my emails. Yes, of course, we have to check our emails. But the big thing that comes into it, we check our emails. You may have 5, you may have 50 emails. Each email opens up its own little rabbit hole. And each one of those takes some time. Now, many of them are actually irrelevant. Many of them are, well, they spam. They have a great catching heading that gets you to click on it. You open it, and then suddenly it says, click here because this is the most amazing deal. So you click here, you go into their website, and next minute you're way off path. It was not an activity that you needed to do. In fact, it's an activity that's cost you quite a bit of time away from those focused activities. So one of the big things that we look at is look at these little tasks that when you go into them, and they're repetitive tasks, they actually open up these rabbit holes. And there's a number of them that we do in the day. I know that I've spoken to a sales manager that every single morning he had the habit of going into the office kitchen to make himself a cup of coffee. That's it, a cup of coffee. It took him an hour. He said to me that when he used to walk out of that kitchen, he never had a hot cup of coffee. It was always cold. The reason for it, as soon as you went into the kitchen, it appeared to be a bit of a safe space. And a sales team used to come in at the same time. So the leveraging that we actually used, I said, have somebody make you a cup of coffee. Now, I know that you're going to say, but that's being lazy. The truth of it is, it wasn't being lazy. It was actually helping the business and being able to help each one of his team members in a more productive way. You see, in the kitchen, they weren't talking about business. They were talking about the weekend. They were talking about the evening. They were talking about news. They were gossiping. And he would spend an hour every morning just in the gossip. When we leveraged the coffee coming through to him, his team that came into his office only spoke about business. And ultimately, their productivity and growth started to increase. So start looking at these repetitive tasks that we do every day that leads us into a rabbit hole, and look at a way that we can leverage it to either somebody else or to a different time. Now, emails is always the challenging one. Well, just unsubscribe to a lot of those emails. Put them into spam folders if you're finding it's coming from the same person, so that it becomes less and less. Or set yourself a time limit. I have 15 minutes to read the headings and then move on to something else. Look at those repetitive tasks that open up into that rabbit hole that steals that time away from you. So make sure that we look at those repetitive tasks and seeing how we can eliminate them or move them to somebody else or something else as we're going forward. It's one of the ones that, well, we get caught out quite often. Now, the third tip is really where a lot of CEOs have the biggest trouble. And this is the leveraging of duties and tasks to somebody else. We like to take control of everything. And, well, everything is not going to be the one that's going to help you to actually have that growth. The truth of it is, there is roughly 20% of the activities that you do every single day that's going to generate nearly 80% of your results. The trouble is, we focus on the other 80% that only generates 20% of our results because there's so many of them and we want to get them out. Well, take that 80%. See what you can delegate. And I know it becomes difficult. So here's the tip and the trick. And it ties into option number 1 as well, tip number 1 and tip number 2. It's actually to delegate 20% of your operation. Now, operations are activities that you do, to delegate it to somebody else. Now, what do you delegate? Do you delegate your high priority activities that generate your results? Absolutely not. Those are for you. Of that 80%, what I want you to do, I want you to review it. I want you to have a look at it. I want you to see what can be delegated to somebody else that empowers them to help you to grow. You see, there's a lot of activities that we do in our business that, well, it actually prevents the growth of our staff. And by us doing it on an ongoing basis, because we are limited by time, we actually are doing a negative to our business. So identify those tasks that, well, maybe it's just a simple follow-up to clients that have purchased a product or completed a service with you. And you do a simple follow-up call with them just to see how things are going. But you actually have somebody in your sales team. Well, take that follow-up, give it to your sales team. Get them to build that relationship. Remember, you still have that deeper relationship with that client, but allow your team member to do those follow-ups. And then once they've completed them, they just give you a quick review. Hey, I've spoken to X, Y, and Z, and this is what's happening here. Just so that you still got your finger on the pulse. And if there's something that's not right, well, you can act on it straight away. But the beauty of it is, your clients will appreciate that because they understand there's growth. They understand that, well, if you're on holiday or if you're ill, there's other people that can still run your business. That's the biggest leveraging lesson for a number of CEOs. Take your business, look at what you can leverage to somebody else, somebody who you will empower to help grow in your business. And so too often we say, well, we don't have anybody. And I always ask, so tell me about your staff. Tell me about the people around you. They will detail them. And I'll say, but why haven't you got them doing this? Another big one that always comes in is all the social media and the marketing. Unless you are the social media marketing expert for your business, and that is your service and product, if it's not, why can't you leverage that to somebody else? You see, by paying them, you're actually going to be saving yourself time. And I know you're going to say, but I don't want to pay them. I want to keep all the profits. Well, the truth of it is, when you leverage to them and you pay them a small amount, I can assure you the amount that you're paying them is far less than your hourly rate for you doing it. So when they actually go ahead and do it, you're going to find some amazing results. So these are my 3 tips that I've actually shared with you. The first one, eliminate those low value. create that must-do list if you have to, separate it into 2 lists, and focus on that priority list. The second tip, look for those repetitive tasks that really lead into those dark, deep rabbit holes. And, well, eliminate them if you can, or push them onto somebody else, or see how you can amend them. And the third one, look at what you do, your operations, seeing how you can find certain activities that you can actually delegate to somebody else so that they can actually help to grow your business. These are 3 very simple tips to help you to, 1, get more freedom. That's the reason why you started your business. And 2, get more time. And all of these can be overlapped into your personal space. And that's exactly why I'm here to help you to grow. So I always love to end with quotes, and another quote that I think is really powerful. You don't need more time. You need more leverage. I think that's a great quote. You don't need more time. You need more leverage. Now, just remember, learning, it only creates the awareness, but the actions, well, that creates the actual results. So until next time, I look forward to picking another topic that's going to help you in your particular business so that you can grow going forward. You've been listening to The One Thing Guy. Remember, when you focus on what matters most, everything changes. See you next time.